Now every day ain't gonna be
But tough people like you and I do.
purpose. Come on.
So let's find some joy,
But there is no sunshine,
some laughter,
nothing but clouds, and it's dark in my heart.
and maybe some wisdom even as we go through the day and go through the times in which we are. Come on.
Tell me where are my blue skies?
You don't kill nobody. It's just naturally things hard. You haven't killed anybody, right?
Promise me
You haven't committed a crime.
right.
And trust me, some of the things, I mean, they're not our fault. There's not much we're able to do about it.
Can't
That
explain
Holy Ghost.
So smile.
heaven like a shower now.
Now I know we've been hurt, y'all, but still,
I smile,
come on.
even though I hurt. See, I smile.
Y'all feel that?
I know God is working, so I smile. Even though I've been it for a while,
Still.
I smile.
Okay. In fact, I could play this song for the whole period.
To look up when you've been down. Show
Sometimes the best time to smile is when things are hard. You know what I mean? Yeah, you tell yourself that, look, yeah, you think you're hard, but you ain't got nothing on me. Good morning. I welcome all of you to Home Affairs. I'm so excited to be back. Oh, how many weeks did I go off? Like 3? Yeah, it was quite restful, but trust me, I missed all of you. Anyway, thank you very much for holding it down whilst I was away. I appreciate you. The morning thing, it's not easy. And last week, Saturday, Fifi Folson was here.
And my people say,
It was the Holy Saturday, so he took over. And man, weren't we blessed? Guys, I appreciate you.
say,
When you have team members who can hold you down, it's just so beautiful. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
so much better when you
Maybe I should be taking regular breaks.
always remember. So much better when you smile. Come on.
I almost gave up.
Almost gave up.
But how have you been? 055-111-997. I'd like to know how you have been. How is life treating you? How's everything? 055-1111-997. And that's our WhatsApp line. I missed all of you. So let me know how you're doing. How's the morning going? What do you have? I mean, is anybody organizing a party this weekend? I'm looking for somewhere to go. So if you have a party like, yeah, just let me know so that between this evening and tomorrow, I can attend some party and, keep smiling. Mama T, Lawyer Pencil, good morning. You are welcome to Home Affairs.
Good morning.
Edem.
Yeah,
You are welcome.
Thank you. It's been a while. We all have been on break, haven't we?
Yes, we
Great. So this morning, yes, Lawyer Pencil, you're saying?
I'm blowing you kisses.
So this morning we're talking about traditional marriages and their essence and relevance. Why are we talking about this in a bit? I'll let you know. But Home Affairs is brought to us by Vitamilk, indeed a nutritious beverage that feels good anywhere, anytime. My guest this morning, Lawyer Kwekuyamwa Pencil. Lawyer Pencil, you don't have an English name.
My father never gave me one.
Lawyer Pencil
And in
is...
secondary school, a certain master decided to call me Paul.
That's funny. How so? You look like a Paul.
I believe it.
Oh my God. Lawyer Pencil will crack you up.
Oh,
So
God.
Lawyer Pencil is a family life counselor, but his first love is being a lawyer, and he's also a reverend minister. So when we bring him here, you know that he's wearing all the hats. And then I have Mama T, Mrs. Theresa Riafe Asante. Hey, this name I struggle to get it right.
I know.
Oh, but right now they
Not
are
only you,
fast.
a lot of people struggle.
Yes.
It is easier to break the Asante before the Riafe.
Oh, so it's still the Asante Riafe?
No, it's the Riafe Asante.
Hey.
But a lot of people would rather say
Like it will
Asante
pain
Riafe.
me. Oh. After I thought that I had gotten it right.
You are getting
Mama
it
T
right.
is a family life
You are
counselor,
getting it right. Good
and
morning.
I love her because she says it as it is. It's not those of my mates who will sugarcoat everything and tell you if it is A, she'll tell you it is A. If you are messing up, she'll tell you straight, Madam, you are messing up. And Lawyer Pencil the same. And in fact, all the guests that come on our shows, they just say it as it is. so that if it is you, you will do a proper introspection and not go pointing fingers at other people. So thank you so much for joining us again this morning, Mama T and
Thank
Lawyer
you.
Pencil.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Great. So we are having a conversation this morning, and thank you all so much also for joining us. This morning we are talking about, we wanted to have this conversation way back during, the Ghana month, but it's okay. It's a very, very, very relevant thing that we will be talking about. And so today we want to step into the heart of Ghanaian, identity, which is the traditional marriage. And you know that Home Affairs is about homes, and when we say that whatever it is, once it has to do with your home, no matter where it is hiding, we will find ways to talk about it. One of these days we'll be talking about how to how to deal with cockroaches and pests in your home. I bet most of you didn't see that coming.
We say top government official refuses to comment.
Please don't comment. Traditional marriages, as we came to meet it, is what has been recognized over the years as marriage when it comes to our local settings. And I like it that a lot of people are going back to what it used to be, where you will put on the traditional kente, they bead you up and all that, and you appear like, the queen who is being taken away by, her king. A lot of people are going back into these things. And exchange of dowries, that's when officially we know, from what I was told, the families have now been married together, merged together, and you have become wife. And when that ceremony takes place, what it is that the marriage is not just between the two of you, in as much as it is only the two of you who are going to enjoy intimacy and the romance, and but then now the families have come together, so everybody is concerned, and they will all have to put their positive energies behind the marriage to make sure it works. But then we know that a lot of things are changing. It's become a very fancy ceremony these days. You have, even before the white wedding, the traditional marriage. Sometimes you still have 10 men to the side, 10 women to the side. It's a very, very expensive venture. All money and things like that. A lot of things go into it. Then you're also looking at the dowry. Back then, I believe it used to be some very simple things that were presented. But now you see some of the things that are being demanded of young men, and you're like, hey, you should have been working for maybe 20 years, or come from some very, very, very rich background to be able to afford some of the things that are being demanded. And I've heard people say that, of course, my daughter is a lawyer. I've paid for them to go to school and all that. So am I paying you back your monies that you used to take care of your daughter? She is a doctor. She's a banker. She's this and that. So they put that premium and that, and then they sell the woman out to you. But that's not the focus this morning. We just want to look at the relevance and the true essence of the traditional marriage. Have we lost it, or it is still there? There are people who, people are outside, and then they will ask that the traditional marriage be organized in their absence, and then they will go in and sign wherever it is that they are. People end up living together, having children, and going to court sometimes to sign, and all those things are happening. So we want to find out this morning how important is the traditional marriage. After the traditional marriage, for instance, you both are Reverend Ministers, so after the traditional marriage, do you call it a marriage? Can the couple resume living together and start being husband and wife? Or do they necessarily have to wait for the white wedding to be done before they can recognize themselves as husband and wife. What do they have any legal security at all if it's just the traditional marriage? And how does the church also treat traditional marriage? So we want to have this understanding. And if you're able to help us with some answers, also together with the organization of it, the things that are supposed to be presented, what really is this supposed to be? And how much and how well should we uphold it? So these are, the angles we would be looking at this morning. So once again, you're welcome.
Thank
you very much.
Okay. So where do I start from? Let me start from you, Mama T.
That's fine.
Because I know I have also heard you several times talk about, you growing up is in a palace and, upholding some of these things. So, with the knowledge you have, I'd like you to take us through your understanding, and especially also from your point of view as a reverend minister who advise people on these things. The traditional marriage, what is its importance and what's its relevance?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, Edem. Welcome back. And good morning to all our listeners. We too, we have missed you. I've seen somebody writing, Mama T and Lawyer Pencil, we have missed you. We too, we have missed you. Pamikra, I have missed Lawyer Pencil. The last time we met was at SEM.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
Yes, I've not seen him after that. The next program we had together, he didn't turn up.
I see.
Remember?
Yes.
So that's
Lawyer Pencil, they say he didn't turn up. Oh, it's usually not in his character. Oh.
No, that day something happened. I know,
he couldn't make it.
He couldn't make it. Oh,
Great.
I didn't choose the right word. He couldn't make it. All right, so I'm very glad to see you today.
Well,
you are looking all fine. Oh,
Thank
nice,
you.
spa. Right. So after I've given him enough shout out like that, right. So to back to our question. Yes, Edem, this discussion is very, very important for me and for a lot of people. I have had a lot of questions coming from people asking about why the fanfare, why the too much noise, why the glam and the glitz, the hula baloo. Big English people have asked me, and so I told everybody today I have the opportunity to tell all of you, so listen. And so, yes, the traditional marriage has always been beautiful. The God who made marriage made it so beautiful such that it is a one beautiful thing that I pray that every man or woman would be able to experience it in their lifetime. Growing up as a girl in my father's home, those days there were a few weddings, white weddings, just a few. So when you are married and you are wedded, so a husband can have two wives before his ayefroyere, or has already been married to the woman for a few years. They sometimes have all their children, and then that is the traditional marriage has been done. Then because they also are Christians, they choose to have a white wedding, and so that is it. Traditional marriages are very, very important.
So what is it to say that once you have the white wedding, your value shoots up?
Not really. Not really. Okay, so it is in those days, it was just to say that, in our traditional settings, a man has as many opportunities as possible. The Muslims have only 4 chances. The traditional homes, you don't have 4 chances. In fact, you have many chances. You can have 10 crampo and there's no problem. But when usually most of these men were marrying the same woman again at church. Right, but sometimes these men have already have 2 or 3 or 4, but they choose to marry another. Now, this another usually are women who are educated, and so those days there's what we call fratam bar or fratam. Just as she's always wearing cloth. Now these Arabafo come and they are wearing dresses. And so they are Arabafo, so they have been wedded. Yes, that is on the side. But again, traditional marriages are very, very, very important. It is it is there. We cannot overemphasize its importance and significance. And Lawyer Pencil is here. I stand to be corrected. I am not sure, so I stand to be corrected. If any church or registry would go ahead to register a marriage or have an ordinance marriage for a couple, if the traditional customary rite had not been performed, that he will answer to that. So, but what I know is that most churches would first find out if the customary rites have already been done and it is complete. Then they would have the opportunity to go ahead and officiate the marriage. And I am sure that perhaps, I don't know about the legal, the registry also, if they still find out if the customary rites have been done first. The traditional marriage, in your introduction, you mentioned that here in Africa, marriages are not only between the couple, it is also between the families. And so you marry into the family and not only your partner. And that growing up, you will notice that marriages were contracted. Some of them, a lot of them, like 90% were contracted by family members. So we all live in the same community. It's an indigenous community, a very small community. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
We all know each other. So there was what we call what was betrothal, right?
Okay.
The betrothal marriage, and it was a lot in our community. Okay. So Lawyer Pencil has a son, I have a daughter. Lawyer Pencil's son is about 5 years, my daughter is 2 years. Then his family would come to see my family and say that we want to betroth your daughter to my son. So as she grows up, she already is, everybody knows. It's a little ceremony. It's a very little ceremony.
Even like when they're children.
Yes.
There's
a very, very little ceremony. Like, so two father and mother, one uncle, father and mother, one uncle, both sides, and then they sit. They bring, if they don't bring anything at all, they will bring one bottle of apeteshi or one keg of palm wine to say that we are betrothing your daughter to our son. When they are of age, they can go ahead and get married. And everybody in the community knows this little arrangement that has been done. And so that is what was happening for most of our communities. But again, other families would go ahead and contract marriages. And in the contracting the marriages, this one, our family, this young lady is quite old, maybe 18, 19, 20.
Mama, wait, so the betrothal is not just about parents saying it. There's actually a ceremony around it.
No, yes. In Africa, everything is ceremonial. We believe in ceremony. So you should bring at least 5 or 6 pieces of kola nut. You should bring 1 keg of palm wine. That was enough to say that. And in fact, we are pouring libation on it. We are pouring libation on it with whatever you present. That tomorrow, Kwechik Mensa will marry a Kuya Menu when they are of age. And so, yes, the ceremony is what makes it full. There's something my village was doing. That will go deep into myself. So, but there were older men, quite old, 40, who actually that one is a betrothal, but they would so he goes to the maybe he has done something for the family. They want to thank him.
So when the child grows up.
Yes. So and I and if I decide to talk about it, it will be around my life. So when I was younger,
this man is like what 40, let's say, and the child is about 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
And the child turns 18.
Yes.
then you can marry this man.
Yes.
This old man.
Yes. There are too many things in our tradition. Right. So but we are looking at proper traditional marriages, and we are saying that its significance is great. Families will meet. They would exchange gifts. They are always calling it tokens because they are gifts. Perhaps those days there were no lawyers amongst us as girls. We were just ordinary girls, so our fathers were not receiving too much. But the traditions are always tradition. There are little tokens that are given to the families, from the man's family to the woman's family, and we're not putting any special price on it. There were very little things they were receiving, depending on where you are coming from. Salt.
Wow.
Cola nuts, palm wine, apetashi, a few tubers of yam, depending on where you are, and then the most perhaps expensive item would be a few clothes for the lady, what she would wear. Even some Akan communities were not taking clothes for the lady at all, except what she will wear on that day. They would say that, well, she's your wife now. If you take her away and you don't clothe her, that becomes your problem. And so just a few things. The akontasekan, which is still the brother's money, and that a little for the father, a little for the mother. Then you pay the dowry. The dowry is an amount of money and a few other things that you are giving out to the lady. Some communities were taking sets of utensils. It is just for your home, because usually these girls were not really having much, and so you as the man would have to come
Equip them.
Yes, equip them. So you have all these few things, and that was enough to take them away.
So
they
it
were
was
just
simple
tokens, very simple
and easy.
tokens. In our villages, you would, when we want to have a huge ceremony around this, the people in the community actually would contribute. You see, the tubers of yam, they are cut into pieces, and then they are given to all of the people in the community, as many as possible, just to say that our daughter Ajoa is marrying Kweku Pencil, and so this yam is for you to know that this is what is happening, and then you are witnesses. Absolutely. So there were very small ones. Yes, there were occasions where they did a few big ones. Yes, it's a day of merrymaking, and so they will kill goats. We are in the village, so we'll kill goats and sheep.
But
and
that is if you can afford it, or
Oh,
if the
yes.
community. But it is not what is demanded.
No. But you see, some other communities, you
They
are supposed to come in with, especially when the girls are coming from a royal home. The sheep there, the sheep, which one is the sheep? Sheep and goats. I always get, okay, sheep. You by all means have to come with the sheep. You by all means have to come with the sheep, because she's coming from a royal family. The 3 or 4, 5 bottles of schnapps, you would have to bring
regular.
it. The kegs of palm wine, you must bring it. The cola nuts, you will bring it. The small things.
They weren't demanding
Not
G-wagons
much.
and things
Yes,
at the time.
yes.
Okay.
So they were very little, and then everybody is around, and so everybody in the community is the witness. We are marrying you into this family. You are bringing your little things.
So,
and then
after
you are
this, the marriage is done.
it is done, and it
Okay.
is a proper marriage. In fact, even as of today, if you are gone through the customary rites completely, it is a marriage.
Okay, hold your thoughts right
Okay.
there. Like, Pencil, when Mama Tiyu was speaking, she said something. I just want you to clarify that. I have one more question to come, and then I'll come to you. Now, before the ordinance marriage or the white wedding is done, is it mandated by law that you go through the traditional marriage?
There's
before?
nothing like that, no.
Okay.
No, there's no such requirement.
Okay.
Except that in Ghana, it's become a cultural thing. Like everybody who goes to church, they say they want to go to perform the custom. So it's like you give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and give unto God what is God's. But there's no legal requirement whatsoever that you should go through those ceremonies at all.
Oh.
No, there's no legal requirement.
So you can actually meet the person.
That is so.
I love you. I
Meet
love you. I
her
like
outside
you, I like
the
you.
church.
And then we go to court and we are married.
Not court. I mean, of course, an ordinance marriage can be celebrated either in court or in the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, either way, or even at the registry.
Yes.
You're very right. Either way, or whichever way, once you fulfill the requirement of the law, the marriage is perfect. And nobody cares whether there's a customary antecedent that you didn't go through and whatever. It's not a requirement of law that you must go to a customary marriage before you go to the ordinance marriage. It's become a cultural thing in Ghana. because of the requirement, people want to please Caesar.
But it can be skipped.
It can be skipped. A lot of people skip it.
The law does not require it of you.
No.
I see.
It's an imposition that we put on ourselves based on our religious beliefs and all those kind of things. But there's no legal requirement whatsoever. You're very right. Other than that, I'm sorry, the woman's family will become whatever. It's always the problem with the woman's family. You know what I'm saying? If they decide will not give her to you in marriage, you can ignore them. Except that the social consequences is what you'll be faced with. But it's not a requirement of ordinance marriage that the girl's parent or anybody in her family must have whatever. If you can get it done in the church, that's the end of it. Go to the registry, that's the end of it. But if you want to have your cake and eat it, you know what to do.
Okay. So, Mama T, that clarifies it.
Yes.
It means that you can go through an ordinance marriage without the traditional marriage. Okay, great. Now, I want to come back to you before I come back to Lawyer Pencil for better clarification on this matter. So, after the tradition, because I think the churches will always ask, have you gone to see the families? Have they agreed? And have you done the traditional marriage? Or is there a date for the traditional marriage? And I know some churches will send representatives to make sure that the traditional marriage has been done. First question to ask you will be, why does the church do that? And two, is it for trust issues? And two, after the traditional marriage, can these two people resume living together and acting as husband and wife?
So let me answer from the last question. Yes, yes, they are married. It is just there are those who are having white weddings who actually do not belong to any church at all. They are just having their wedding, and that's all right. So, but if you believe in tradition, and so you have met the lady's family, or both families have met each other, and you have gone through this the customary rites.
Yeah.
It is enough right for both of you to be. I mean, you are married. You are married. If you choose not to have a white wedding, you are still married.
Right.
If you want to have your white wedding after 5 years, you are still married in the traditional sense. Our parents are not expecting a white wedding at all. So just like what Dr. Lawyer Pencil is saying, so that in tomorrow's life, there are lots of protection you are looking for as a couple, and so the ordinance marriage gives you a lot of protection. Beyond that, that's all. Beyond the protection the ordinance marriage gives you, it gives you some kind of a pedigree, kind of, because I have been married in the court or in the church. It's an ordinance marriage. It is beautiful like that. And so everybody is trying to outdo each other in recent times.
I'm struggling not to laugh.
Yes. Oh, yes. So even from our traditional settings, in recent times, you have the traditional marriage. Everything is done. Sometimes your pastor is even present to pray, and then they are still asking, hey, Ajwa, sorry, I from the. But I seriously do not think that it must take the church wedding to make you a couple. Okay. No, when you are done with the traditional wedding marriage and everything is done, and then the lady has been asked, do you want to go? And she says she wants to go. That's all. Some places, in recent times, it's fine. You have the engagement or the traditional marriage on Thursday, then on Saturday, you are getting married. When I was younger and I have the traditional marriage today, and you wait, the church will give you 3 months to wait, or sometimes 6 months to wait to have the wedding.
And in all these 6 months, you can't...
No, you are living with your parents.
There are no conjugal rights or anything like that.
Well,
you will not consummate the marriage.
Woe betides you. That is old colloquial English. Woe betides you if you should get pregnant in the process whilst you are waiting.
And this woe is from the church.
From the church. So you have done the traditional marriage. Everything is fine. Then you get you go through the white wedding, you give birth after 6 months. We have to sit and do investigation as to why you gave birth. So is the baby preterm? No. If the baby is not preterm, why should you give birth after 6 months? Then it means that both of you were sleeping together. That is also another whole trouble. Yes, and so yes, if you are married.
But isn't that what the church still does today? That after the traditional marriage, so for instance, right, there are people who would want to have their white wedding, but then not now. We want to do it in a certain way, and we're not ready for that yet. And so we have done the traditional rites. Our parents and our families have poured out their blessings. They acknowledge us as a couple, and they have blessed us to go live together. But because we belong to the church insists that you cannot live together and act as couples because you are not properly married in the church.
Yes.
Doesn't the church still do that?
And so yes, it does.
And people have been excommunicated.
Yes, and that is what I am talking about. In recent times, in modern days, it is fine. No, you are having the engagement on Thursday. You are having the white wedding on most people on Saturday. So you have just 3 or 4 days to go through.
But that
the
is
process.
when you have the
money.
You have the money. I mean, some people do everything on the same day. But my question is, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Why does the church invalidate the traditional marriage until the white wedding is done?
Protection.
Mama T, are you sure it's about protection?
Protection.
Protection what? At law.
So that the legal marriage, the ordinance marriage is so such that you won't. It is very, very monogamous, like one man to one woman. So you have one man, you have one woman, and that is all. That is protection.
And this protection is just for the woman, that as it's
for both of you.
For
both of you. It's just that in Ghana we don't have women marrying more, right? But in other places, women are marrying more. So protection. The church wants to protect you. The church don't want to get involved with too many things that would disturb the church's image. And so it is first protection for you and the church's image.
Well, protection for me, I get it. But if this is something the two of us have agreed to do and say that, I mean, there are some people who would decide that, okay, we'll do this one. And then when we have our children and everything, we'll now go to church and then we bless it and we are whole. Shouldn't the church respect that?
I think the church should think about this again. Okay. I strongly think that the church should think about it again.
Okay. I'll leave it there. But yes, if you're just joining us, this is Home Affairs and we're having a very interesting conversation. This is also because people have sent a lot of questions to us on this matter, right? Mails, they talk to you in person, they call you, they WhatsApp you, and they're asking that. And people have issues. Like, I am married to this woman traditionally. The marriage has been blessed. Parents, they've taken everything. You are my wife. And sometimes the lady is saying that, yes, we've done the engagement or the traditional marriage. However, I am still not your wife because we haven't been wedded in church. So I'm still going to live with my parents for as long as it takes for you to be ready to come and do the white wedding. But this gentleman also feels like I'm just starting at life. But I also want to be grounded. So your parents are not asking for too much. Let's do A, B, C, D. And then you move in, we start living together. And then when we put ourselves together, we can do the other one. And some people will not agree in any way. So we thought that, okay, just so we clarify things, let's have this conversation so people are educated, so people can choose their paths properly. And if we are enshrining certain things in certain rules and policies and myths that are not working well, we understand it properly. So, Lawyer Pencil, I'm coming to you now. This is Home Affairs. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM. Lawyer Pencil, how relevant is the traditional marriage, especially when we are looking at it from the side of the law?
Very, very relevant. In that we live in a society, we have a culture, we have people we live among, and what the society provides for the institution is what we deal with. And therefore, we have always had customary marriage, and we will always have customary marriage. Indeed, and in fact, being a Christian does not stop you from having a customary marriage. And when you have the customary marriage, as a matter of law, with due respect, I wouldn't say the white men were too clever when they came to us, but there's something we call conversion of marriage. In other words, a lifting up of a marriage from one status to the other.
Okay.
So that while the law recognizes customary marriage, the essence of customary marriage is one man, many wives. One man, many wives. Not one woman, many husbands. And what it means is that all our customs in Ghana, all our customary laws permit a man to marry as many
as they
wives
wish.
as he wishes to. Except that the Muslims permit up to 5 wives.
4 or 5? Have they increased it?
Five. I know that much. The Mohammedan law.
Okay.
It permits a man to marry 5 wives. If I'm mistaken, I will, whatever. But that's what I believe I know. But in customary law, there's no limit. But we call it in law conversion of marriage. When a man marries on the customary law or on the Mohammedan law, and that's what our women do. I'll tell you something. When you go into the church, then the blessing that you receive in the church converts the marriage into an ordinance marriage. And what it means is that thereafter, only that marriage can be recognized in law. In other words, if the man goes to play hanky-panky anywhere, whatever he does with whatever woman and whatever, the law will not recognize that woman as a child. Except that by law in Ghana, by lawmaking, I'm talking about judges or whatever, all the children the man can have outside will be recognized as children.
As his children.
But that's the way it is. So therefore, the safety that our women have found in the law, both Muslims, Christians, I've known of Muslim women who have compared their husbands to go and register their marriage at a registry. Because I've already told you that talking about registration of marriage is not only in the church. We're talking about the registry. I'm talking about registry of marriage. So that's the way it goes. So it's a cultural thing. I mean, the customary marriage, when you have it, I mean, it's one man, one wife. But once you convert that marriage, that is to say, when you go to registry, then it becomes what we call an ordinance marriage. The ordinance marriage is just another name for saying that the man can marry in law another woman. That's the
So
way it
even
goes.
for the Muslims,
Yes,
once you go through the ordinance marriage,
that's the end.
you cannot marry your
I
4
know
or 5
Muslim
wives.
women who have compared their husbands to go to register their marriages at the registry. I know that
that's
one.
smart.
Yes. Oh, I mean, most of the educated Muslim women, I know.
It's true.
I know a few, maybe not so many.
but a
Yeah,
few.
but when they want to get protection for themselves and their whatever, that's what they do. They compare you to go to the
Sign your
registry of marriages and go and register the marriage, and that's the end of it. After that, whatever you do, whatever women, it's your own business. They don't care. But in law, those women cannot be recognized as wives for any purpose. Except that Ghana here, the loose part is still the fact that the children, as long as they are recognized as the man's children, are entitled to a portion of his estate in the event of death and stuff like that.
Okay.
But that's the only difference. So that's how it is.
So the traditional marriage is also very, 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 very relevant.
Oh, traditional marriage is very relevant. You know, traditional marriage, if people can keep their vows, a traditional marriage only is potentially polygamous.
That's all.
That's about it. There's no law that requires that if a man in a tradition must necessarily have another wife. But if the man decides to have another wife, customary marriage permits him to. And that's why when marriages are preceded with the customary marriage, you then go into the church and have the ordinance marriage. So you have the best of both worlds. You marry on the customary law, you go into church to convert into ordinance marriage. It's a conversion. In the same way that even Muslims, when they marry under Mohammedan law, they can also register ordinance marriage. They need not go into a church. Yeah. The registry will offer them the platform to convert the marriage. And when they convert the marriage, what it means is that the Muslim man cannot thereafter purport to marry another woman. Whatever he does outside that marriage is his business, but it will not change anything about his status as a married man to one woman.
Okay.
So that's what the law under the ordinance marriage does.
So if you go through only the traditional marriage,
yes,
right, is there a way that couples can still protect their rights and properties?
No, talking about rights and property, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. If you're talking about the marriage itself, you convert it. You go into a church
until you convert it. You know, there are some people who go like, I mean, you've heard people say these things in society. Me, I don't like that wedding thing. Like, you know, and they will tell you that it is waste of money. It is this. I don't want it. And I mean, and people have a lot of
reservations.
Not reservations, but they will strongly condemn it,
yes,
and make you see how much of a waste it is to say that you are doing wedding in a year day. Like the proper marriage, and I mean the proper marriage is me coming to see your parents, and your parents who gave birth to you have given you to me and the family. So they justify it very well. And sometimes, I mean, I understand the protection and everything, because you love the man so much, you don't want to lose the man. You agree to go through the traditional marriage with him. And a lot of women do this, hoping that someday they will change their mind and convert. But if you are married to a very stubborn person who says that I don't want any wedding or any court thing, we want the traditional marriage, just start. In a marriage like this, is there the protection you both are talking about? Where is there any form of protection for you?
Oh, the protection only comes from the conduct of the parties themselves thereafter.
So your protection is hopefully you both are honest.
That is so.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, but particularly, you know, because a lot of women will say, I mean, they're also married and whatever. They have to provide the evidence. I mean, if, for instance, I mean, something comes up and an issue arises as to whether you were the only wife, then any woman who claims she's also a wife has the burden of producing the evidence to demonstrate that she has also gone through a customary marriage with him. And that's not very easy. You just can't just put two things together and claim that you've had a customary marriage with somebody.
This is, I mean, the other...
That is to say, if you have married on the customary law, you know, because it happens all the time. We've got funeral children. You know, a man dies. You know, right? And then...
and his funeral children.
You know what I'm saying? They pop up. They pop up, and then you had 3 children with the man, talked about family planning, all the nice things. Then it turns out that the man has 7 outside. And that's when they attend the funeral. They come. And you can see their faces. You can see the man's face on their faces. You know what I'm saying? And then you don't know what to do. Wow. I mean, and if you push it, they'll go for DNA and all of that. And of course, that's, I wouldn't call it embarrassment, but it's something that will scare you. And but these are the realities of life. And the law is there to ensure that if you want to avoid some of this embarrassment and whatever, you better comply. That's the way it is.
Comply with
I mean, with the law itself as it stands. In other words, registration of marriages and all of that, even traditional marriage, is provided for registration.
Yes.
The law provides
people
for
are
its
doing it now.
registration. I mean, not necessarily an ordinance marriage. If you've had a customary marriage, you go to the registry, that is to say, the company's house. I'm talking about, that's where they do the registration of marriages. You go and buy the forms and fill them and whatever and register that, and you've got your certificate that shows that your marriage has been registered. I
But
mean,
what
that's-
protection does that give you? Because it's still just the traditional marriage, and the man
no,
can
at
still
least
be
the
polygamous.
evidence that you are married
married.
to the man, at least. Is the evidence that you are married. Because you can have children without being married.
Oh yes.
No, but of course, if you haven't gone to court if you haven't registered the traditional marriage,
Yes.
and there's pictorial evidence or visual evidence to prove that you two have gone through all of these, and people can testify to that. Isn't that something?
No, we can't. But the embarrassment of being asked to prove what you think is obvious.
Oh, the moment you have been asked to prove it, it's still embarrassing enough. If I still have to go for my certificates to prove that I was married to you, it's still embarrassing enough.
Well,
But then what the other question I want to ask is, okay, so you're married to Mami Ajwa in the traditional setting.
yes.
And that's recognized. The family knows it, the community knows it, and everything. And then maybe, at the funeral, the man passes on, right?
The funeral children come out.
Yes. And then maybe AC also comes in
Yeah.
to say that he was my husband too.
Yeah.
And so she also wants to perform probably
Yeah.
the traditional rites,
Yeah.
parting rites for the
Yeah.
man, right? Are we saying that if you were just a woman who he had children with, probably lived with you, had children with you, but didn't perform any rites on your head, you can't do those parting rites, for instance?
No,
You
the
can't.
law will not give you that recognition
Okay.
because a few cases have come up in our court where the judge found what they call a presumption of marriage. That the circumstances of the relationship, and when you put all of that together, a marriage could be presumed in those circumstances. But why do you have to go through that? Why do you really have to
Exactly.
subject yourself to that? You know what I'm saying? Because a marriage is done, Ghana, every marriage is a public matter. Every marriage, customary marriage is a public thing. Everybody knows, can attest to the date, the event, ceremony, who was there and who was not there. So if you start having an affair with a man in, corners and whatever, and then you have to then have a box full of evidence, that to be able to demonstrate. That's an embarrassment that you go through. But at the end of the day, the law is not concerned with embarrassment. The law is concerned with proof, your ability to prove. And when the proof is not there, that's where presumption comes in. The people are now putting things together, 1 and 1 and 2 and 2. We saw them at this funeral. We saw them. That's the funny part about this. They accompanied the man to a funeral in his hometown. And therefore,
You go and focus on going to
Can
your
you-
funeral. I'm
can
going
you
to look
believe
at
that?
other people who have come for
can
the
you
funeral.
believe that? Can you believe that?
No, there's so much to learn and to understand when it comes to these things, and I'm happy we're having this conversation this morning, because so the children, no matter the circumstance, once you are able to prove that they are the children of the man, will always be recognized.
That is so.
right. Will always be recognized. But then
There's the embarrassment of being asked to prove, because we are talking about DNA now.
but that one, Lawyer Penta, what can you do about it?
No, but the point I'm making is that the man may, of course, maybe, the man may in his lifetime have assumed that the child bore a resemblance to him and that was sufficient, and then the man is dead, and an issue arises as to whether indeed the child was a man's child, and if DNA evidence is called for.
But usually in the traditional settings, they have their own ways of proving.
The traditional set you are
they
talking
look at
about.
you, they look at the dead person lying there. They know that.
Look at some of the children. The resemblance is there.
Well,
I'm sure it is probably when you have to do I mean, you have to share properties and all that, and there are some factions who are against it and are not believing that you could be or you're an imposter. Then they will go through the DNA.
No, but today DNA evidence is coming into all of these
I know,
matters.
right?
Yeah.
It's
I tell them,
everywhere.
you know,
People are
sometimes
taking their children just on ordinary days to go and do DNA for
that
no
is-
reason.
yes,
that
so
that's
sometimes these children, these funeral children,
Oh,
for all
please,
you
let's
know,
not label them that
yes,
way.
okay. For all you know, the man, this is what a lot of men do. One of his friends know about this.
Well, yeah.
Almost always, one of his friends, even sometimes, some family member somewhere knows about the other lady and the other children.
They do.
Oh, they do. Always.
There are questions. Let me go through some of them and then we'll go make some sales and come back. Oh,
Why is it always the men? Why men when this is
where are home to?
Well, me too.
The men, they worry. Somebody was asking the song I was playing. Okay, "Smile" by Kirk Franklin. Someone. Oh, there was a question. Oh dear Lord. Mama T says that Edem and your panelists. I want to understand if Mama T is saying traditional marriage is not marriage. Is white wedding really important? And is she saying that? That is what legalizes the marriage? So until that is done, she is not my wife. I don't think Mama T said that.
Me cry that I am trying to abolish. I am trying. No, I didn't say that.
Mama T didn't say that. I think she actually even mentioned that the church will have to start looking at that again, especially so if that's what the people are asking, for. We want to do our traditional marriage, go and live our lives together, grow together and everything, and then later on in life when we have had our children, we want our children to be present at our wedding. And if that's what the couple want and the families have given their blessings, she thinks that the church may have to start considering. Please, for clarification, what do you do if you aren't happy with your woman? With all the evidence and the physical abuse supposedly, and you want to divorce her, will property still be shared? Oh my God. Like, I think so. This one goes for you.
This one has to do with dissolution of marriage.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is not our
irrespective of
focus
the
this
type
one.
of
Yeah.
marriage. When marriage dissolved, consequential orders have to be made. The consequential orders relate to the distribution of property, alimony, all those kind of things. And even though women are the ones who are always asking for alimony, I'm alerting them to a time coming when men will also start asking for alimony.
We don't have.
So when the time reaches, we shall see whether they have or they don't
or
have.
they don't.
If marrying one wife protects the woman, so does marrying many wives protect
The women. The
no,
man.
it protects the man. Oh dear, some of you. Well, if you can afford the chaos it comes with and you can manage it well, why not? This one said, I was told that if a man dies and he has a child who is not known to the family during the sharing of property, that child will have 60%. How true is that?
It's not true. That child will have what?
60% of the man's property.
If it's not known, how does it even come near?
It's very interesting.
Yeah, if a man dies and he has a child who is not known to the family during the sharing of the property, that child will have 60%. Is that true? And then the 40% would either go to the
I've
family.
never even heard this theory before. I don't even know where you got it from. So it's untrue.
Okay. This one says that it is said that marriage is of God, two people doing life together. However, was it God who outlined what must be taken and the ceremony? I doubt if it is solely man-made. Hence, the many differences and changes depending on where you find yourself. Tradition, culture, law, and religion is man-made and subject to scrutiny. How far today? What is its significance? Yes, families are involved. However, is it what makes the union last? No. Do what works for you, not what you're told it's supposed to be. do right by each other. At the end, it's about our happiness, peace of mind, and our cross to carry. Yes, but before you get to that point where you think it's about you want to do what makes you too happy and all that, especially if you belong to this community, you're Ghanaian or you're African, that's traditional ceremony. You can't rule it out, because you can't just walk on the street, see somebody, hold the person's hand and say that you are my wife, let's go and do what is right by us and make ourselves happy. Nobody ever recognizes that as marriage. Lawyer Painter, Mama
I
T,
agree
am
with
I
you.
right?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So you will choose to either go by the traditional marriage, and we are learning here this morning that the traditional marriage can be a stand-alone marriage,
Right.
and it is very, very, very recognized. You can even go on to register it.
Yes.
It's still just that it still doesn't protect your relationship from being polygamous, but I mean, it gives you that full assurance that there is no way ever anybody can say that you're not wife to this person. That's what it will do. If you decide to go by the ordinance marriage, then you're sure that it is just you and this man doing this life together, that you don't. But then, to call it marriage, there must be some sort of ceremony,
Yes.
be it traditional or the ordinance.
That is what.
So you can't rule that out and say that you are married, my dear. And you know what's interesting? I mean, you cannot really take the family out of our settings.
Right.
If anything happens, touch wood, maybe this woman passes on. Are you going to, just as you met her on the street, you're going to dig a hole and just dump her in? No. You know, you can't do that. And it's in this our communities that people have been forced to marry dead bodies.
Of
Yeah,
course.
Samo.
Yes,
You know,
yes, yes.
and stay with the dead body for
For
2
2
nights,
days,
3 nights, because you didn't do right by them. So you cannot do that. I'm sorry. And everybody here in the studio agrees with me.
I agree with you.
Like I paid, so you have to tear part of your love certificate
for you.
so that I can carry it about. This one says that, oh please, Edem, we've missed you too, Mama T and Lawyer Painter. We've missed. Okay, thank you. It was good you took a break. Oh, because life ain't no joke. I agree with you. All right, thank you. The Nikki I have for Lawyer Painter is consequential order. So, dear Lord, Lawyer Painter, that's somebody's nickname for you.
Oh, that's interesting.
Consequential orders.
I see.
Okay. Mami says, hello them. After 12 years of marriage, my husband had a child outside the marriage. Before the child came in, I had helped my husband acquire 3 properties, and that's houses. Is the child eligible for inheritance? We acquired the properties before that child came in.
Yes.
This is from Mami.
Let me say this. Talking about whether any child is entitled to any inheritance, we are talking about depending on who dies first. First and foremost, the property that they've acquired, if it's joint property, then there is the law we have the intestate succession law. Beside the intestate succession law, we have a law for distributing properties. And what it means is that in this case, if it's a marital property and whoever dies first, is the law that regulates the distribution, and it includes the children. And I'm talking about the definition of a child has got nothing to do where the child comes from. So it's about the man's children. So let's put it this way. I'm sorry, the children of the marriage. However, if there is a property that is identified as belonging to the man alone, then its distribution would include all his children.
Okay.
But if you, Adam, you have a property separate from your husband, you have children who are separate from your husband's other children, then those other children cannot come in to partake of anything that belongs to you, which will naturally go to your husband and the children that you have with your husband. That's the way it goes.
Okay.
That's the way it goes.
So, I mean, it's not so ambiguous after all.
No.
Okay. Now, this one says that good morning, Edem, and your wise counselors. For me, the traditional marriage is better because it can be easily dissolved. I believe that's what you were trying to, when things don't go as planned. Myself and my ex-wife had only the traditional marriage 22 years ago, and the marriage is dissolved now with a separation, and that's about 16 years now. We're blessed with 3 children, a boy, 2 girls, who are 22, 20, and 18 respectively. The first boy and girl have lived with me, and the last girl lives with her till date. Funny enough, we both remain single till date. I see. You people should hit it off again with mutual respect for each other. The children visit each other, they visit us, and are happy with good levels of education. This, for me, makes the traditional marriage easier to deal with, just in case Plan B comes up. This is. Lawyer Benson, why are you shaking your head?
Top government official refuses to
To
comment.
comment. Very
Lawyer Benson, why are you shaking your head?
I've told you.
You should come back and get the marriage done again.
Yes, this time do the
20
ordinance.
years of
You both are single.
for what?
What
I
is
can
that?
with my eyes closed, or is it open? I can prophesy that this 2 people are coming back.
Yeah.
Let them come back.
After being separated for 16 years, that would be it.
Yes.
Let them come back.
That would be so interesting. What says? Okay, our time is running very fast. I need to go make some sales and come back. And so, please give me just a moment. I will be right back.
Hello, Ohima. It is saying.
Ayo.
for doing the listening. It's Home Affairs right here on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Edem Knight-Tay. I have been away for 3 weeks. I kid you not. Sleeping in on Saturday mornings have been bliss for the past 3 weeks. But I missed you regardless. And this morning, lawyer Kwekuyamwa Pencil, who is a family life counselor and a lawyer and a reverend minister. Mrs. Theresa Riafe Asante, Mama T, also for Mami with swag. She's also a family life counselor. They joined me this morning, and we have been talking about traditional marriages, their essence and relevance. And trust me, we have had some very interesting insights. One of them for me will be the fact that you do not necessarily need the traditional marriage or the customary rights to be able to have the ordinance marriage. There's no requirement like that in law, except that for our society, it's always like the right thing to do. So if the church is demanding that, well, it probably could be the church's own policy, but it is not as a matter of law. Also note that you can actually go on and register your traditional marriage. It just doesn't stop your marriage from being a polygamous one if the man wants to be polygamous. What it does is that it just clears every doubt if somebody is thinking that you're not wife. If you want one man, one wife, then definitely it will have to be the ordinance marriage, which can either be done at the registry, you can do it at church, or any place authorized by law, right? That you can conduct any such marriage. Note also that you can convert your marriages. So, Lawyer Princess was conversion of what? Marriage. Yes. So, if you have the traditional marriage and later on in life you want to convert that one into an ordinance marriage. But I also want to believe that you can only go that if by the time you are looking to convert it, the man hasn't married another woman. Oh.
You are perfectly right.
Yeah.
Because if the man wishes to, or whoever, if you do a conversion at the material time that the man had another wife, it's a nullity.
Good.
You must make sure that the man has divorced properly so the other woman. No, you can't be rich. You can't be rich. And it even happens for first marriages. Yeah. In other words, a man meets you, wants to marry you, but you notice he's got a woman with him, with a child or whatever. Maybe he tells you they are not married. But if it turns out that they are actually married by customary law, then you just can't bypass that woman and go and have an ordinance marriage.
Oh, hold on.
It's as simple as that.
Really?
That is the law. In other words, if a man is with another woman to whom he has married on the custom,
yes,
there's a customary law marriage, the man can't just dump that woman and go and organize an ordinance marriage with another woman. He can't do it. In other words, in law, if he does that, that ordinance marriage will be a nullity.
Okay. Because the ordinance marriage is such that there mustn't be another person in the picture.
It's one man, one matchet.
That's very clear.
That's
very clear. So what all of this is telling us that the traditional marriage is still very, 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 very relevant, especially so in our settings.
That is so.
You know, as for the church, they will always demand and ensure that you have the blessings of your families before they even go on to do the church, wedding. Now, your favorite shopping destination, Marina Mall, is now closer to you. We're thrilled to announce the opening of our brand new outlet at Batrona Spinters right next to the Commercial Bank. Our exclusive brands and unmatched shopping experience you've come to love are all now very close to you. And during this Easter, we were there. That's where we spent the Easter holidays, every one of our team members was at the Marina Mall. A very lovely place. So our cherished shoppers in Bachona, Spinters, Lashibi, Tema, and surrounding areas, come by and explore our wide array of shops, offering everything you need from groceries to fashion and to perfumery, health and beauty products, electronics, and dining. Anchored by Marina Supermarket and home to premium brands like PMC, Harim Istanbul, Exotica Salon and Spa, Glee Health Dental Clinic, Numero Uno, Celebrity Style Fashion, and many more. We're currently offering limited retail spaces for exclusive brands in the following categories: electronics, fashion, restaurant, and home decor. Interested retailers can call 055-6687-222 or connect with us on social media via at Marina Mall Spinters on all platforms. Marina Mall Spinters, redefining your shopping experience. And the joy of every parent is to see their children grow healthy and become more intelligent and physically fit. To achieve this desire, every parent needs to ensure that their children are given nutritious foods that has the essential nutrients that can promote their well-being. And one of the best of such is Vitamilk soy milk drink. Vitamilk is made from the whole grain soybean, which is a good source of plant protein, and it is enriched with omega-3, 6, and 9, also with calcium and the essential nutrients and multivitamins recommended for your daily living. Vitamilk has no artificial coloring, no artificial flavorings, and no preservatives. And for over 20 years in Ghana, Vitamilk still remains the number one in quality, in taste, and in nutritional benefits, and in reliability amongst the most preferred beverages in this country. So go on and choose the Vitamilk Champ for your children, because the protein, calcium, omega-3, 6, and 9 in there have all proven to help your children grow healthier, smarter, and better every day. Go on and choose. It comes in its regular soy milk drink, so you can choose from the energy booster with no caffeine, also the choco, the banana, the strawberry, and you can buy them because they are packaged in the 250 mils and the 1 liter Tetra Pak. Vitamilk indeed is a nutritious beverage that feels good anywhere, anytime. And are you ready to drive innovation? Take the next step in your career. Apply for Ashesi University Master's Program, which combines world-class education with African relevance. Regardless of your career aspirations, an Ashesi Master's Program equips you with the skills, ethics, and network to lead boldly. Applications are open for our 2025 cohorts. Learn more at ashesi.edu.gh. Once again, let me remind you that the joy of every parent is to see their children grow healthy, become more intelligent, and physically fit. And to achieve this desire, all you need is your Vitamilk soy milk drink. Why? It is made from a whole grain soybean, which is a good source of plant protein. It is enriched with omega-3, 6, and 9. It has calcium and all the other essential nutrients and multivitamins needed for your healthy living. It has no artificial flavorings, 1. 2, it has no colorings, and then it also has no preservatives. They have been in Ghana for 20 years, so go on and choose the Vitamilk Champ for your children, because they give you all the protection you need. It has protein, calcium, omega-3, 6, and 9. And all of these are recommended for your child's daily living. You can buy it in the energy booster with no caffeine, the choco, the banana, the strawberry, and they are packaged in 250 mils and 1 liter Tetra Pak. Vitamilk is a nutritious beverage that feels good anywhere, anytime. So our time is up. Someone sent in a question, Leopinto, in your typical quick response. He says that, oh dear Lord and Father of mankind. Oh, I need to grab this question. It says that, Edem, I thought they said culture is dynamic, and if traditional marriage is a cultural thing, why not create laws to control our cultural practices, especially with marriages? First, they only take schnapps and fabrics, but today they are taking things I can't even mention because of the age we are in. So let us amend our traditional marriages for better protection. I'm wondering what amendments can be given it, because it has been upgraded.
No, indeed, we have a law on customary marriages. We have the law on customary marriages.
Says we should upgrade the law.
Well,
Amend it.
because essentially it's a cultural thing. What culture is, what we mean by that is that culture itself, reflects changes in the affairs of men. And if over a period of time we get to a stage where we think that something is no longer compatible with the way we do things, and we want it to reflect, statutes, then we can then make a law specifically to cover that particular situation. For instance, all these intercession laws and whatever was our attempt to develop laws that would guide that aspect of our culture.
Okay.
So that's why we have the intercession law, all of these laws, because the intercession law especially was to give protection to children born out of wedlock and all of those things. And so we have laws, except that culture is very dynamic. Life is changing all the time. So maybe if you identify the law and you think it's inadequate for a particular situation, then we can examine it. That's the way it goes. But for now...
And I want to believe that I'm not a lawyer, but the dynamism is also expressed in the different marriage types.
Yes.
And what they come with.
That is so.
So you have the option of choosing which one. If you're looking for optimal protection, which makes it one man, one woman. Exactly. Then you go for the ordinance. And it is not limited to only Christians, as it were. You can do your traditional marriage. You're not a Christian, you're not a Muslim, and you can still register your traditional marriage, and you have the ordinance, and you're protected.
But let me say this thing. There's always an impression that when we're talking even an ordinance marriage, even in the law they call Christian marriage, the law now. But Muslims are registering their marriages under the Christian marriage, so-called. They're doing it. Common sense. It gives protection.
That's it.
To people under the marriage, especially to the women. I must say that one. Yes. You know what I'm saying? It's
they are working with the spirit of the
law. So the law is a law. It doesn't limit you to any religion. And if you want to protect it, the law guides you as to where you get the best protection.
That's it.
So that's the way it works. Okay. So if you're Muslim and your husband, if you suspect him, to whatever, then as a condition for the marriage, that is so. As a condition for the marriage, you go and do the Muslim one, then the following week you go to do the ordinance. That's the way it is. You don't have to go into a church. You go to the register of marriages and you go and do it, and that's the end of it.
Great.
That's best protection that you can have.
Omati, in just a minute, your final words.
All right. So my little worry has to do with the church, where we have to keep couples who have gone through all of what they need to do at the traditional marriage. They have done everything, and we are still saying that they are not married till they go through the white wedding. So and the church can do something. If you they must still go through the church white wedding. Let's find ways of minimizing the cost for them. The glam, the glitz, the fanfare is too much. 500 bridesmaids, 400. Everybody's trying to outdo the other person. Every day, everybody's trying to outdo the other person. Special dance, special choreography, all of those. It makes it beautiful. It's the fanfare, but it doesn't really add anything to the marriage.
Great. And I think a lot of churches are beginning to do it. People are having the lessons in the church office on weekdays. I think as for my church, I stand to be corrected. I'm not even allowed to do any serious alteration to the church in the name of any gargantuan decor and things like that. So I think a lot of people are doing well. Right. And if you're a Christian and you know that this is also the Christian rule, some way, somehow, then do it small. After your traditional marriage, have it blessed you. And then I love the bit that It is in your own interest, especially so for optimal protection. Please, we didn't say this. Hello, Edem. Did you say a man who is already married and not divorced with his wife can marry a second wife? Yes, you can marry a second wife, but that's in the traditional settings, right? If
You very right. Customary marriage.
in the customary
Under
marriage,
customary law.
you can marry and marry and marry and marry.
That is so.
But in
There's
the
no
ordinance,
limit.
you
Yes.
cannot.
Even
What we
1,000.
also said quickly is that if you're married to somebody traditionally, or the customary marriage, you can go and marry another person in another customary marriage, which is okay, but you cannot go and marry somebody under the ordinance.
No.
So those are some of the things that we have said here, but this blanket one we didn't say it. Okay, so we're making way now for Weekend City Show. Thank you all very much for being a part of Home Affairs today. I'm happy I'm back. Next week we are back here with another conversation. God bless all of you. Enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you.
The book